Hey, coaches, welcome to episode 55 of Championship Culture. Got a fantastic guest tonight. Jeremy Buck is the head football coach at Sanderson High School in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's a 4A school, about 1,500 kids. Jeremy has turned the program around. He's been a head coach for 10 years, and this is his second successful turnaround. He's also an elite fundraiser. He's going to talk about fundraising and how they raise money at Sanderson. And he's going to just explain to us how he builds culture. He's a strong culture builder, and it's a really good episode. I hope you stay tuned and watch. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the things that YouTube likes so that we can build this program. Thank you, coaches. Hey, coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Got a fantastic guest. Jeremy Buck is the head football coach at Sanderson High School in Raleigh, North Carolina. Jeremy is going into his 10th year as a head coach, not all at that same school. And Jeremy is one of the bright young stars, upcoming stars in our area of North Carolina. And Jeremy, I appreciate you being here, buddy. You've helped me out a couple times on fundraising and just giving me all the behind the scenes scoop, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking time to be here and talk with us, bud.
Joe, I appreciate you having me on. You're way exaggerating about a bright young star. I'm not young anymore, and I certainly never was a star, so I appreciate it, though.
Well, Jeremy's 42, so he's just a boy. He's just getting started.
Yes, that's what we'll say.
All right, buddy. Dang it, I have one other question to ask you. Oh, go ahead. I just forgot it. Well,
It'll come to you.
Yeah, it'll come back. All right, so let's start it off with a 1-minute elevator introduction of yourself.
Okay. Well, grew up in Chapel Hill. Played high school ball at Chapel High School. Went to Elon. Tore my ACL when I was 12, so ended my career pretty early at Elon and started coaching when I was a junior in college and got the bug and was able to do it as a community person for a while, and then finally jumped in and became a teacher assistant and then a teacher and kind of bounced across the state, chasing opportunities in different leadership roles, from coordinating positions and all that good stuff. I took a couple of years off to sell real estate, and a buddy of mine, Jeff Simpson, called me in Charlotte and said, "Hey, need some help?" And I moved to Charlotte and helped him advance high school as a defense coordinator for a year, I think it was, and took a job at Harding University High School at 29 years old, and didn't know what the heck I was doing, and did that for a few years in Charlotte, and I came back this way. I was at Franklinton, I believe it was, for 4, and went and stepped out and got my master's degree in school administration. And I was at Heritage as the offense coordinator for 3. I'm heading into my 3rd year here at Sanderson. So I kind of bounced all across the state and had a lot of fun doing it.
Well, that's what I it wasn't a question. I was just going to say that we have both been at Franklinton at different times, and you really tore it up when you were there. Did a great job of. I think there were 2 coaches between us, and it had really dropped off, and you brought it right back to life, and really had some big years there. And now you're doing the same thing at Sanderson, and I mentioned before you with the fundraising, you're an elite level fundraiser. Really impressed with the things you do fundraising for your team, and excited to steal your ideas. So question number 2 is, in culture still, it's just a buzzword right now, but question 2 is, how do you define culture in your program?
Joe, when you reached out and you asked me that question, it really, it's hard to explain almost, but to me, it's like a vibe that you get when you walk into a building, you walk into the weight room, walk into the locker room. Is it clean? Is it tidy? Are the kids going to work hard? Or the practice field, are they on time? Are they dressed like they're supposed to be? Do they want to work? Do they want to be there? Do they want to work hard? They want to work hard for the person next to them. Are you going to hold them accountable? Are kids going to be able to get away with things? Those are all things that I think that, it's such a big word, vague word almost. It encompasses so much, but it's just a vibe that you feel, when you walk into a program, and the successful programs have an elite culture. And it's everybody, that people want to be there. People don't want to leave. They don't want to go home after practice. They want to be early to practice. They don't want to miss anything. They don't want to miss a day of practice because of what a coach might say or do, or a competition or whatever it may be. It's just that ultimate vibe that you get when you're an elite in an elite culture.
I've never heard anyone describe it as a vibe, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And I used to compare it, when you walk into a school with
Mhm.
with a good culture, it has a feel to it. It has a certain vibe to it. And I think the same thing is true with good programs, football programs. But I've felt it, like you can feel a good culture when you walk into a school. Like you walk into that front entrance and it jumps on you. You can feel it.
It's going to be neat. It's going to be tidy. It's going to be organized. Everybody's going to know what their role is. There's not going to be confusion. And those things are important because everybody's time is important, right? And you don't want to take that for granted. And so again, yes, the vibe, and that's what we try to do here.
Awesome, man. All right, so this is the big one, number 3. This is where we steal your good ideas, man. What are the 3 best things you do to build culture in your program?
And again, Joe, I don't know that there's 3 things I can put my finger on. So I'm just going to start talking, and maybe we stumble across some things that might work for some people. But the most important thing that we try to do for our culture is accountability, and it starts with me. It starts with me being where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to do, communicating with our families and kids and administrative staff, and holding everybody accountable. But to do that, I have to be clear on my expectations, and it goes to the simple things of we weigh our kids in every morning at 6:30 a.m. 6:30 to 6:50 a.m. We're going to weigh in. If you're not there at 6:51, you can't practice that day, and it's because we're going to teach you to be on time. And we had a senior we had to turn around today, and hey, no hard feelings. See you tomorrow. And it's holding people accountable because again, people's time is important. That goes all the way up to the administration too. You have to have an elite administration to be really competitive these days. But holding your administration accountable for the things that they say they're going to do. So accountability for us is number 1, and that comes with loyalty, right? It's going to be loyalty to your staff. It's going to be loyalty to your kids. And if you tell your families you're going to be done at practice at 10:30 a.m., well, they don't want to wait till 11 o'clock. They don't want to do that. They have stuff that they need to do. Be loyal to your staff. If you're going to tell your staff that you have an opportunity, no, you can't get paid right now because you don't have enough stipends. But if something shakes out, you can pay them the next time. Well, the next time a job opens up and the stipend opens up, you need to make sure that you follow through with that. And that again, that holds me accountable with that a loyalty piece too. Loyalty to me is when I'm hiring. I know it's one of the questions later, but that's one of the most important things for me. I guess maybe the second thing we do, Joe, is we try to give our student athletes a voice. We shoot, it was back. It was at the old high country football coaches meetings we used to have in Boone, back in the day, back in the good old days, right? And I think it was Paul Cornwell did his presentation on his leadership teams. And I know many people do it. I think one of your previous guests talked about that leadership team. It's a pain in the tail. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of organization. But the leadership teams and giving kids points so they can earn points for grades, for attendance, we give a bunch of points for playing other sports because I want them to play other sports. We encourage multi-sport athletes. We had 3 football players that were just earned all conference wrestling honors. I'm just as proud of that as I am what they will do for us. But the leadership portion of it, GPA boost, community service stuff, all that stuff, and it's healthy competition and kind of woven in there. We're getting the things that we as a staff feel are important, right? If we want to send as many of our guys to college as we possibly can, we can't do that if they don't have grades. So I'm going to give them extra bonus points for GPA. We want them to play other sports. We're going to give them extra bonus points for playing these other sports. Everybody wants to play basketball. I want them to wrestle. I want them to run track. Okay, those are the things so we'll give them a little extra bonus points there. We give them a voice on uniform stuff, right? So our leadership team and our captains that get voted on, they can tell me what, what uniform options they want to wear that particular Friday night or whatnot. If we're up for getting new jerseys, they get to help me design some of the stuff. So we're giving those guys a voice, and they feel ownership in the program. Cleats, we're an Under Armour school, so we wear white Under Armour cleats with white socks, unless they earn their way out of it. If because a couple of years ago, they wanted to wear the Nike or Adidas or whatever, perfect. If we have a team GPA of 3.0 in the spring, you can wear your whatever you want within reason. We have certain limitations, but then they get to earn it. So they get to tell me what they would like. Okay. But then I throw some intangible stuff on there that we get, some intrinsic benefits that they get also. But one of the most important things is really what we try to do outside of football. My birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I was at the regional wrestling match right after practice. I didn't shower. I didn't do anything. I just I show up. Next thing you know, one of our assistant coaches show up. We have some of our players, some of our older guys show up to support our guys, right? So supporting them in other avenues, supporting them in other sports, supporting them in other things that they do. If they have a death in the family, checking in on them, going to the funeral if we need to, whatever it is, being in tune with our guys and making sure that we know what's really going on in their lives, and try and learn how to read kids, because kids aren't going to lie to you. They're too honest at times. And but just staying in tune to what's going on in their lives, I think that earns you your respect, right? And finding ways to give back to them. You mentioned fundraising. Before we even cashed a check, I'd already spent just a butt ton of money with new equipment. I mean, the check we hadn't even got it sent yet. And we told our parents, we told our kids, hey, we're going to send it back out there to you, get it back to the kids. Well, they see that again, goes back to accountability. All that stuff is very, very important.
Talk for 30-second commercial on how you do your fundraising, because I just think you do a great job with that. You ain't got to share a lot of secrets, but just kind of.
Yeah. Well, Joe, we do a couple of them. We do. Matter of fact, we were given a little bit of clearance because the pandemic didn't do more than we have in the past. We're only really allowed to do one, but we were able to get a little bit of leeway because of everything was so tight, and we ended up paying it out of more football funds this year than we have in the past. The first time I'd ever used it was Snap Raise. We used it this spring, and we just, the trick is get back to the kids. And all too often people want to do all this, want to raise all this money, and they want to put it in the account, and they don't give the kids the gifts. They don't find ways to get the kids motivated. Kids love cloth. Find them some cloth, get them some cleats, get them a swag bag, get them a visor, get them some stuff, get them a day off of conditioning, a week off of conditioning, position groups off of conditioning. They hate county fair, so hell, let's give them something for that, right? Because ultimately it's going back to the kids, it's for the kids. All too often, coaches see, okay, I'm going to raise 10 grand and I'm going to have to pay out but I don't get to do this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about what we're giving back to the kids. So we do Snap Raise, and we did a really good job. It was the first time we'd ever done it. Matter of fact, Juan, who is the guy I think he's kind of moved up a little bit. He actually worked with my sister in the past, and with the Mudcats actually, and that's how we kind of linked up. Another one is we do card sales, and everybody's seen it, the old gold card from, that you've done for so long. Well, and I'll be honest, when I got here, a lot of it was already kind of done for me, but we've kind of tweaked it a little bit. And what we do is we'll go, instead of other people going to do it and you paying them the 20% or whatever it is, we went and we did all the and got all the contracts with Pizza Hut and all the other vendors, Domino's, and I don't even remember who's on there right now, Daylight Donuts, and all those things. We went and did the contract, and I've got a person that does the printing, and we spend far less money on it, and then we keep all of it, right? So yes, we run the risk because we have to pay the printing cost, but if you get it organized, you get a pretty sizable amount of return on your investment there. That was a lot more than 30 seconds. Sorry.
No, yeah, that's great, because I just think you do an elite job with that. And you showed me the card, and it looked super professional. I mean, you had really gone above and beyond. and but you get to keep, the majority of that money. Uh, can you even remember what it cost you to print the card?
Yeah, I do.
Pennies, doesn't it?
It costs about. It depends on how many you get, but I think it costs us about $1,800 to print them all. And then, no, it's not easy to do. I mean, and matter of fact, I've got some guys on our staff that want to be head football coaches. So one of the things I'm doing for them is I'm asking them to learn how to do this. And Jared Brown is our associate head coach, and he's actually really taken the lead on that this year. I just had a brief conversation with him about today, but I think it costs about $1,800, and we'll go sell them for $20 a clip, and we'll pocket that. But again, by the time they get back, we've got a cookout for them, we've got cloth for them, we've got shirts for them, we got all kinds of stuff. And before they even get back, I've spent a large chunk of it, and I've kind of earmarked some stuff. And again, student voice, right? So I'll talk with our leadership team and say, hey guys, if we raise X amount of money out the door free and clear after I pay all the expenses and everything, what would you like? And they give me something that's in a ballpark, a fairly reasonable range, we'll get it. Do they want new decals? They want they want sweatbands. They want a new pair of pants. They want whatever. We'll talk about it. I haven't gotten into the whole new sets of uniforms yet because those are a little bit expensive. But I'll give them those opportunities to make those decisions as well.
That's awesome. And like I said, when you showed me the card, it was super impressive. Uh, and then, and here's one, because we've all been there. All right, you get hired, and the administration makes all these promises, and then they don't come through. How do you said part of it is keeping your administration, and I know you got a good one right now. You're
Right.
very, very happy with your administration. But what do you do? How do you try to hold that principal accountable that's telling you anything you want to hear to get you in the door, and then it doesn't happen?
Well, I think a lot of it, Joe, is just instinct, right? And it comes with knowing how to talk to people, and knowing how to talk to administrators. And I'll be honest with you, going through the master's program, no, I'm not getting paid for it in the state of North Carolina, but it's helped me understand the ins and outs and what principals can actually do and what they don't, and they don't have to do, right? Um, knowing how to ask the right questions, knowing how to put a plan together. And basically, and a guy named Barry Schufert, who actually followed me at East Mecklenburg out there in Charlotte, he had a list of about 15 different things. And when he got to three, I think five, maybe it was, that the administration wasn't willing to do, he said, this isn't a job for me. And that's different for everybody, right? It could be kids in the weight room. It could be hiring this amount of coaches. It could be this much money going into the from athletics into football every year. It could be whatever you want to do on the field. So there's a number of different ways, and everybody's different. Everybody has some different idea of what's going to make a program run. But knowing how to talk to them, knowing how to check in appropriately, knowing how to build those relationships, and also not going to your administrator every time you need something. Build a relationship. You don't want to go to your principal every time when you need something. You can go find out what they need out of you, right? And what they need out of you is help to keep the school running, right? I mean, let's be honest. Our kids are a lot of the kids that will get in trouble in school, right? So how do you support the other teachers in the school building when a kid gets in trouble? That's going to give you a lot of clout with your administration, and they're going to see, hey, you care about kids, you care about the development of the whole student, and about the school itself. So and sometimes it's bugging them. You know what I mean? This is what you said. This is what we talked about. This is what we talked about. This is what we talked about. And if they're not willing to do that, then you're in the wrong spot. But when I made the decision to look after our 3 years at Heritage, I was going to be stupid picky about the opportunity. And matter of fact, our principal now, she actually wasn't the one that hired me, but the assistant principal, Mr. Oshley, is a former coach, actually out there in your area, in the Triton. I think it was at Triton for a little while, and I knew that football was important to him, and I could tell that he was one of the change agents in that school. And so and they came through, and as soon as I went in and told them I need a couple coaches hired if we're going to do this thing, and they did it. And so from right then and there, we both had a lot of trust built up. And then of course my principal now, Dr. Dula, she is phenomenal. I cannot speak high enough about what she does for our students, what she does for athletics, what she does for the entire school, and what she's done and allowed us to do in the football program, because I think we treat our kids well, treat our kids right, and we help them get out and get other opportunities at the collegiate level. And I think with that comes a lot of support.
I just finished my master's in administration, and one of the biggest motivators was to try to understand how principals think. I wanted to go through the program because I wanted to know how they were thinking, and that's you mentioned that.
100%. And I think the biggest one, honestly, was I'm not sure of the exact curriculum, but those difficult conversations that you have to have, right? As a leader, as a principal, and as a head football coach, you have to have difficult conversations with your staff that aren't always comfortable. They're not, right? If Jimmy's not doing what he's supposed to do, he's late, you understand that he's got a wife and kids and he's got all this other stuff going on, and that's fine. How can we make this work? And if you can't make this work, that's fine, but these are my expectations. And being able to lay expectations out, again, I think that's helped me as a head football coach, because it helps me keep our staff accountable. But in turn, I'm able to use the same type of not tactics, but same type of motivation to keep our student athletes motivated and accountable as well.
Oh, awesome, man! You knocked that out of the park. All right, question number 4. This is a good 10-year veteran head coach question. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you first got started?
What do I know now that I wish I would have known when I just got started? That I'm not as smart as I think I am. When you, as a first-time head coach, a lot of people think that they're ready for the big chair, and that big chair is a lot different. And you don't know everything about scheme that you think you do. You don't know everything about relationships you think you do. You don't know everything about dealing with administrative stuff. And yeah, you'd buy this and you do this and you do this. And I would have done this if I was the head coach. Yeah, now no pun intended, but the buck stops with you. And so pump the brakes a little bit and find a veteran that's been through it and had success and had some failures, because you learn a lot in the failures as much as you do in the successes. And find a veteran that you can trust and have some conversations, especially early on in your career. And as you develop those relationships in your career, I'm sure there's coaches that you'll talk to pretty much every day or every other day that have head coaching experience, right? Or been an elite level coordinator and kind of in that realm, if you will. Find those guys that you can talk to, because you can't always talk about those things with your coordinators. You can always talk about it with your administration. You have to find the right sounding board to be able to be successful. The scheme's not everything. The scheme is not everything. And I commend you for branching off and your podcast not being about scheme. I mean, we haven't said anything about scheme, right? It's the other things that win you ball games, and matter of fact, we had this conversation today and I'd forgotten that we were doing this, but we hope the culture wins us a couple ball games this year, right? We are hoping that what we do as a program, it has nothing to do with scheme, is going to win us a couple ball games. But there's a lot, the old adage of the old timers, I've forgot more football than you'll ever know. It's so true. It's so true. Because you'll be flipping through something in your office like, man, I forgot about that, and just pick up the phone and talk to some of those old heads, and you can learn a lot of football.
I thought you're have a circle of guys that you can call and bounce stuff off of. I thought that was I've got 3 or 4 that I lean on. I call them all the time. We bounce off ideas. So I think that's a big one, because you can get a little isolated as the head coach.
You absolutely can, and don't be scared to be wrong. Admit when you're wrong. As the head coach, everybody looks at you to think that you're the guru and you think you know what you're supposed to do. When I was at Harding, I was terrible. And when I was at East Wake, I might have been East Mecklenburg, I might have been even worse, because I tried to put on that little show that I knew what I was doing, and and instead of just saying, you know what, I need some help. Who can help me here? And trust your assistant coaches to you hire them for a job, right? So if you can, if you can't motivate them to do what they need to do, then either you need to find a different way to motivate them, or find somebody else that can do it the way you want it to. But it's always been my philosophy that if I bring somebody in, that I need to coach them up and get them to the point to where I would like them to be as a coach, and not be so quick to kick people to the curb, because loyalty is more important than X's and O's. I mean, we've hired a couple guys in the past, and I had somebody say, "Well, what's he know?" I don't know, but he's loyal. He's willing to work. He's good for kids. We'll figure out the football piece of it.
Yeah, no, I'm big on that one too. You hire for attitude, and you train for skill. So that's a big one for me too. All right, man, you've done fantastic. Question number 5. Can you share your contact information, either email or Twitter? If you're on Twitter, aren't you?
Yes, I'm on there. And not reluctantly, but I do it because for recruiting for our guys more than anything else. Right. I mean, I'm one of those guys that wants to work behind closed doors. I'm not a me guy. I'm going to wear a book bag to practice type of guy. I'm going to go out there. We're going to coach ball, and we're going to get down and dirty. And we hope the stuff that happens in the darkness comes to light. Right. So, but my email is jbuck, JBUCK, at WakeCountyPublicSchools.net. So WCPSS.net. Shoot me an email. I'll come to my phone. I'll try to respond to it if anybody has any questions. I'm not big on the whole self-promotion deal. We for us, it's not about what we do. It's about what our kids do, and try to help support them and how to try to get them out and give them some opportunities. It's not about, it's like I tell our kids all the time, I'm going to coach next year. My job is to try to help you play somewhere next year.
That's awesome. All right, so going to finish with, and that was a pretty good finish all by itself, but anything you want to promote, or just you have the last word, anything that's on your mind that you get your pee hot?
Promote, no, but I just encourage guys that are in this profession. It's old adage, hey, it's about the kids, yada, yada, yada. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. I really do. And I think a lot of times it's just a tagline. But I really encourage people to look at people's situations, and each situation is different, and not just assume without getting to know your kids, because some of these kids, and we talked about Franklinton, and we talked about even here, and I know it Hopkins, some of these areas, some of these kids just don't have an opportunity to be supported. And there's a lot of us that grew up in the old days of do as the coach says and don't question it, and it still should be that way, right, to a degree. But get to learn your kids, man, and don't be so quick to kick people to the curb, and don't be so judgmental about everybody. I mean, I get so tired of all these coaches want to talk mess about other coaches. Look, you don't know what their situation is. I mean, really, you don't know what their situation is. It's a great fraternity to be in. It's great to be able to pick up the phone and talk to you, Joe. And we talked off and on for years, but we spent 30, 45 minutes over here just talking before we got this thing started. So I encourage everybody to really be in this business for the right things, because you're not going to be paid a whole lot of money. But if you'll be in it for the kids, you'll be okay.
I tell you, just reminded me, that was awesome, by the way. But you just reminded me. I had a coach on from Georgia a couple months back, and he talked about this concept of how many of our kids just live in chaos, and that we really are the anchor. That they don't have, where a middle class kid wonders what he is going to have for dinner tonight. A kid who's living in chaos wonders where he's going to be staying tonight, and they don't have an anchor, and we really are that discipline and that structure and that anchor. And I just thought that tag team right along with what you were saying about care about the kids first, and don't judge them, help them.
100%. I mean, it's hard when you see a text message that a kid shows you when his mom tells him, "Hey, go live with your dad. I've done my part. Good luck." I mean, and it's not the first time. And when you got a kid that's doesn't know where he's going to be each night, and all these Zoom, all this virtual learning, and kids couldn't get online because of the chaos that was ensuing. I'd talked to a kid, one of our players actually. "Hey, you big fella, unmute yourself so I can talk to you real quick." And he unmutes it, and it's nothing but chaos in the background. And there's a fine line, because some kids want to use that as an excuse, right? Some people think that they can get away with it and say, well, I couldn't do but others is legit. And again, it's all about the kids. It's all about getting to know them. It's all about trying to push them, because and don't be, and this is, as men, we want to beat our chest and we want to show how tough we are. Don't be scared to tell your kids you love them, because they need to hear it. I mean, really, they need to hear it. And if you will do what you're supposed to and lead them and be that father figure that many of them need to, they need to hear it. And if you truly act on showing that love, you talk about culture, you'll knock it out of the park with that.
Amen, brother. You did a great job.
Appreciate you, Coach. Great to talk to you.
I appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your schedule, man. You did fantastic. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.